I think I put way more thought into the countdown to bring us into a stream than I've ever done on the streams themselves.
It's weird because I know there's like 5 people watching this, maybe max, but yet that's the first time I've actually been nervous going into a live stream YouTube thing. Like
Did that
it's
build
so
up?
like dun 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 dun, dun and counting down from like 30. First of all, who counts down from 30? But it really got me. It got me. I was like, oh, geez, okay. Oh, God, I should have put
You
on
know what?
my good shirt.
It's fully deserved. I don't know why people don't build up more often the dramatic nature of any time that you make an appearance anywhere.
But I mean, the absolute disappointment from going from that to this, like
I know. Like I
you're
said, I kind of overthought the intro. It can only go downhill from there. But you know what? I set the expectations high, and I want people to have a good feeling at the beginning that they may not have at the end.
But
Is that
yeah,
the wrong way to
after
go
that,
about this?
after that intro, they just cut to tiny man in tiny mirror surrounded by garbage.
You know, I like to think it's a special effect. It's a practical
Sure.
effect. It's old school.
Yeah. It's practical effect. Yeah, real old school ILM there.
Real traditional nature. I think that
Yeah.
again people should appreciate.
Or
I
gee,
should
how'd they get that head down in that weird little circle? Magic.
mirrors,
Mirrors.
literally mirrors. Uh,
Not even smoke and mirrors, just mirrors.
Hi everybody. I should do a quick intro
Yeah.
to everyone watching either live. Hello to the folks watching live, and in the future. This is Open Chat. This is sort of a spinoff of another show I do where I have folks come on to talk about their 5 favorite Star Wars collectibles, figures, whatever, and also a show I call a bit of a chat, which I've done for about 15 years, where I just have conversations with wonderful folks, including my guest Chip Zdarsky, who has been a guest on a bit of a chat. And this was my way of combining all the stuff that I overbought during the pandemic and needed to open with having a conversation with interesting folks like you.
So I was just sorry. So all of these things I'm seeing on the screen are yours. You own them.
I do. This is just my desk. This is the
Okay.
current state of my
All
desk
right.
right now.
See, as you can see, based on my background, you and I are very different people.
See, but I don't know what you're looking at. So you could be looking at a similar setup to this. We wouldn't know. You could be hiding whatever
I would turn this
collectibles
around,
or
but everything might explode. But I guarantee I got 0 collectibles on my desk.
So, do you besides Eisner Awards? Do you collect anything?
Besides accolades,
Which you have a healthy collection going.
Accolades and paychecks. That's what I collect. No, I collect nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Have you always been that way? Have you just?
I collected comics, obviously, when I was a kid. But I mean, is it a collection if you read them? It's like if somebody points to their books on their bookshelf, do they say it's their collection, or do they say it's their library? Or
I think if you
books.
retain them, it's a collection. If you were to read them and then pass them along to somebody else, then that would not be a collection.
So everything in my home is a collection. Like my cutlery drawer is a collection.
Yeah, no, you collect plates, you collect spoons.
No. See, no. If you collect plates, you're looking for specific ones, and they're not for use.
So I would say that those are functional items and are not a collection. If it is something that you have for enjoyment that you retain within your home, then particularly the stuff that deals with the arts, that you have a person. I don't know if you might enjoy your cutlery. I don't know. But if you have an emotional enjoyment that comes from something and you retain that, particularly if so you can re-experience that at points, then I'd say that yes, that's a collection. Because otherwise, you could read a book and pass it along.
I mean, this is a case for Judge John Hodgman, but I believe that a collection indicates that you also know the value of the item. See, I think my comic books became a collection. Like I was buying comics and reading comics, but it became a collection once I understood what the value of each one was. I still read them, but I knew that this is like worth like $20 now.
But what about the emotional value of those items? Is that not a
You
value
can't.
that factors into that? No,
You
I
can't
forgot.
put.
You
Come on.
collect accolades and
I
paychecks.
collect accolades and paychecks.
I
Well,
forgot the criteria.
so I had a comic collection. I'll call it a collection. And I had it until I left for college. And then that collection ended up, it was in my parents' house for a while. And then maybe in a year or so, I had an aunt who knew a guy who was like, he was like an adult, but with like learning difficulties. And I think he could read at like a 10-year-old level. And so all of my comics went to that guy. Except for my Vertigo books, because we didn't want to, cause any problems. And yeah, that was it. That was the end of my collection, and I was done. And in college, I didn't really read comics because I couldn't afford them. And once I graduated and got a job and started making money, I started to dip back in, but it never quite hit a collection level again. Like I'd basically I'd buy them to read. If I bought single issues to read, I'd usually um, get rid of them after I was done.
Right.
Like,
So you wouldn't retain them after you had read them.
no, like, I mean, proper collections like trade paperbacks and things like that, I would hold on to because I find those pretty rereadable. Like, I also don't hold on to novels. I finish a novel, I put it on the curb as soon as I'm done with it because I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to reread that. I've never reread a novel because there's so many novels. I'm like, oh, I'll read a new novel. But with comics, I was like, especially the collections, I'm like, oh yeah, I always go back to them to check out the art or reference them or things like that. So I had like I have like a small bookcase of comics, and
Is
and
it
it's
is it different when you're you've now done a Daredevil run, you're doing a Batman run, when
mhm.
research into these characters is also necessary? Do you retain for research purposes or acquire for research purposes? Or is it all
um,
digital now and they just send you access to the digital library and you dip in that way?
it's mostly digital. Like Marvel's pretty good at that because they've got Marvel Unlimited. Um, Shout out to Marvel Comics. Um, let
In
me
the
drive some
chat,
people towards your app. The Yeah, their app of digitized comics is pretty extensive. There's only been a few times where I've been trying to find something that I couldn't. I had to go get the physical copy. With with Daredevil, like I already had a bunch of collections from that because I've been reading it most of my life. Um, Same with Batman. I've got like kind of the major storylines in physical, but yeah, just digital. Kind of. I don't tend to buy anything physical anymore. It's almost all digitally consumed. So
now
yeah, so
what
I
do you
have
do
like
with
one bookshelf. I have one
what do you do with
bookshelf
your
where
comps? Because I you get sent
yeah,
comps for the books you work on. So is that just like,
comp
the best house at Halloween?
well comps has definitely changed over the years. Like when the first time I got comps was for sex criminals,
Well,
and
not the best thing for Halloween.
not the best thing for Halloween, but it was a big moment in my life. And the way Image Comics works is they're like, all right, there are 200 copies of these available, split amongst the crew however you want. So I'm like, well, I'll take 100. And Matt was like, I'll take 100. And like very quickly by issue 4, I'm just like, what am I doing? Like I can't keep this up. So over time, like I've told Image to like knock that number down. It used to go down to 50, then 20, 10. Now I'm just like, send me 2 copies. I just want 2 copies.
And you
Um,
eBay them immediately.
Immediately. Yeah, if I was smart, I would like, I would get into that secondary market and kind of resell stuff. But yeah, I got it down to like I have like a storage closet full of comps. I've got like a an old comic spinner rack, which I put one copy of everything I did in there, like variants or anything. But as time went on, I'm like, oh, like that's full. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm not putting like the extra covers in there. I'm just putting like single things that I do in there.
But now you could
Um,
fill that up with a month of your releases.
it's gotten a little wild. So I've kind of stopped getting comps. Like, uh, I'm living out west right now. My home's normally in Toronto, and so I've arranged for all my comps to just be sent straight to my local comic shop. And I've just I tell them put aside one copy for me of everything. Maybe the collections, a couple, so I can give them to friends, and then they can just sell the rest. I'm probably not supposed to be doing that.
I mean,
Reselling.
they're yours, so I think it's
Yeah,
whatever you want to do with them.
yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I'm a minimalist at heart, so like getting rid of that clutter has been kind of, yeah, necessary.
So
And I, and
you're
I
not in
don't.
the home that you normally occupy. So
No, no. For the last couple of years,
so
I've
your
been
deal of
out
blank
west.
wall isn't entirely genuine.
It's true. It's true. I've just never bothered
And I've
decorating
seen
this
your
room.
office. We've done this before. I have seen your office. I have
Yeah, yeah.
you have things hanging up. You have photos, and
Well, I have a lot of art, and
do
it's
you
almost
collect art?
all it's almost all given to me by the artists.
But you retain it.
What am
A
I going to do with
collection.
it?
But
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think a collect.
An artist gave me their original art. Should
But I
I
think, but
throw it in
again,
the trash?
a collection doesn't just mean that you bought it for yourself. I think if you retain and have an emotional attachment to something and present it because you enjoy it, I think that's a collection. You have an art collection on your walls.
I suppose, but it's more. I mean, while I enjoy the art, I'll tell you, like for years, that art was not hanging and displayed. Like really, at the
But
beginning
I'm
of
sure you've
COVID.
also curated. I'm sure there's some pieces that folks have sent you. You're like, maybe that's not going on the wall.
No, no. I think everything's gone on. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have worked with great artists. But there's only a couple of pieces on there that I've actually purchased. Like there was a brief period where I'm bad with, even though obviously I collect accolades and paychecks, I'm bad with money. Not in terms of spending because I don't spend it, but I just don't know what to do with money, and I don't know how to invest or anything like that. Like everything,
So
God,
it's just mayonnaise jars and mattresses.
mayonnaise jars and checking accounts. I'm not even making money. It's just like losing money. But so there was a period where I said to my wife, I'm just like, maybe I should start collecting original art. Like I know original art, and like that stuff goes up in value. Like maybe I just take a bit of playing around money, and I just start investing in that. And there's a bit of an insider trading mentality because I was going to Marvel Comics in New York for like big meetings about the future and what comics are coming out, and I would hear the pitches in the room, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's going to do really well." And like, so I was saying to my wife, like, we should pre-buy all the art for Ryan Stegman's issue #1 of Venom. Like, I remember saying that to her way before it came out, and then I was like, oh, we'd have to get like a safe to put it in, like a fireproof safe, because it's just like it's worth too much.
But
And
then
then
you
I'm
could
just like,
do the you start doing the same with your own. Like, listen, I got this Daredevil story that's coming up, and I'm doing amazing things with Elektra. And there's a splash page that's going to be in that book.
that's true. I should have like been smarter about that.
That's the most
But
insider trading.
the most inside where I'm generating, yeah. But then we started to think about it, and like I'm like, maybe that would have been a fun hobby. But the fact that I would have to keep them all in like a fireproof safe was just like, oh, it's weird to have art in safe like that. Like I know that's how it's done in high art collecting. Like in high art collecting, like
No,
fine
no
art.
one sees that.
Well, they what happens is like if you buy a Picasso, let's say, um, what happens next is someone reproduces that Picasso for you. You put the original Picasso like in a storage center that's like
Right.
temperature controlled and everything, and then you hang the fake
The
Picasso.
Cafe Express Picasso.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, so for all intents and purposes, it's like that's the Picasso because you actually own the original and it's away, but you can be reminded that you own it. And I guess that's a thing that's done quite regularly. So I guess I could do that and have someone painstakingly recreate the Ryan Stegman Venom pages and hang them on my wall, but I opted to not make money.
Well, you know what? I should open something. I'm going to
You should
start
open
opening
something.
something.
Yeah.
But I wanted a nice transition and give you a chance to talk about yourself and the amazing things that you've done. So it was not going to be a
Oh
Star
God.
Wars thing that we're opening
Oh.
first.
Oh.
So we're going to open this first.
Oh. Well, there you go.
So
Oh wow, look at
is
that.
this a unique feeling to know that you've worked on characters that were pre-existing characters that were well-known characters.
Hmm.
We haven't seen sex criminals merchandise out in the
We,
world.
we almost did a Funko, but never happened.
Uh, so this is one that was created during your run.
Yeah.
How does that feel a little different to know this is hanging on pegs in stores? And
Um. how do I put this? It's mixed feelings. I have mixed feelings about this. There's a childlike quality in me beyond the accolades and the paycheck where I'm just like, oh, that's fun. Like that's neat. Like I used to play with toys, and now there's a toy of the figure of the creation that I made with my friend Marco. Um, and then the other side is this is garbage. This is just plastic, and it's just choking the planet. And
I mean,
it
you could
filled
say
me
the
with a.
same thing about comics
Well, hey,
if
trust me,
if you're going to
I have
boil it down to.
no, I have thought about that a lot. Uh, and like I once did the math on like how many trees have to go down for like a comic book to be printed, and it's not a fun feeling. But I'm just like, there's something different about the plastic slab of an action figure. Now, I guess it depends. Like, I know some people get joy out of it. Like, I always tell myself, like with comics, at least, people read them and get joy. And and like, I guess if I knew kids were buying this, I'd probably feel better. Maybe. Seeing your adult hands open it.
Oh, well,
It,
here we
it,
go. Now you can
no, no,
pretend.
no. It gives me a different feeling. That's all. Like it is cool. Like I gotta admit, it is cool. But I'm also like knowing she's gonna come out of the box, be posed, and stand somewhere for eternity as she gathers dust.
Well, that's not
Feels
the
a little
case
weird.
because we're not eternal. So at some point, this is going to be picked up for $1 at the estate sale, and some kid may get it and enjoy
Okay.
it for their life.
You know what?
Look at it that way.
I never really considered that. I never really considered that.
Think of the finite nature of any collector.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That brings me some joy that we will all be dust
I mean, I
and in
didn't
a
know how to make it better. I was trying
post-apocalyptic
to make lemonade. I tried so hard.
in a
There's no sugar.
post-apocalyptic burning world, some child will reach down and pull this from the rubble and be like,
This
"What's
has
wrong
no
with Daredevil?"
context.
Yeah. It's yeah, yeah, they did it. It's
And they
impossible to
have
capture that hair, but yeah,
and they got your beardy Matt is coming up soon
yeah,
too.
Beardy Matt's coming. Does she have like a separate head with like without the scarf, or is it
She
just scarf?
she does not, because that would
Okay.
cost more money
Yeah.
in
Fair.
production, or it gives them the chance to release that as an exclusive further down the road
Oh yeah,
to
yeah.
create more plastic.
I mean,
Uh,
this is fun because I haven't actually seen this in person yet.
she got nice.
My my Daredevil editor, after the first issue came out, he I guess he bought a few of these and he's sending one to me and one to the artist Marco.
So what are you
And
doing with yours?
great question. Great question. I don't know. I mean, I'll take it out of the box and I'll pose it on the top of my bookshelf probably.
Well, this
It's
is
funny. There was a uh right around the time when Captara was coming out, we were doing some press for it, and like the newspaper I used to work at did a story on it, and a guy I knew came to my studio to interview me about it, and when the story hit the paper. I forget the line, but it was like talking about my studio, like, oh, it's a studio, filled with ink and comics and toys and statues and blah blah blah. And I was so mad. I was so mad.
so
I'm
they
like,
just
you fucker.
boilerplate stuck in
He
this
just thought he saw
creation
it.
of
He just like he was there, and he was like, he was in my
created this
studio.
wonderland of a
Yeah,
cliche
the
of
only it must have been because the only thing I had that could come close to that is I had like a generic posable figure for reference for anatomy.
yeah,
Um,
that's like 50 figures in one, right?
exactly, exactly. So I was like, I remember just cornering him at work and just being like, "You fucker! Like, I do not have a single goddamn action figure. Why I'm
It
defensive about that, I don't know. Like,
it sounds
again,
like a vendetta. It sounds like
yeah,
something somebody does out of spite to you.
like they clearly bring people joy, and I wouldn't begrudge anyone the feeling they get from collecting these things. But for me, it's like I have one nerd item in my studio, and it's a replica of Captain America's shield. and I bought it for paintball, and it was maybe one of the greatest
Was
days
it
of my
good?
life.
Was it as good
So
as?
good. So good. It's like paintball in the forest, and me and my buddies up against like strangers. So everyone's just fascinated with the fact that I'm like running around the Captain America shield and a paintball gun. But everyone agreed that okay, having the shield isn't very fair, but also we can see you wherever you are because this thing is just like a giant bright disc.
So it
But
gave
oh,
you
what is
insight into Captain America as a character, as to who runs around with
very
a
much?
very bright red, white, and blue shield
It's true.
in
But
battle.
but there's nothing more satisfying than running through the forest and hearing the paintballs explode off that shield. The pa 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 pa. Oh,
So how
oh,
much damage did it
beautiful.
do? Is it just? Would you clean it? Is it just covered in dents and?
I cleaned it up. There's like a bunch of scratches because also I was like attempting to throw it, which you're not really supposed to do. But if you got a Captain America shield and you don't like toss it once,
Yeah,
I don't know
it
what
didn't
kind of
ricochet
person you
back.
are.
What do you mean? I have to walk over and pick it up?
Yeah,
Bullshit.
I tried it. I tried bouncing it off like trees, so it was pretty beat up. And I had to like adjust it with like kind of like an old leather belt to make the straps work. Um, but yeah, afterwards I just like I cleaned it up. I just hung it on the wall, and it's all like dinged up from battle. And yeah, that's my only kind of real nerdy thing besides my comic rack that's in my studio.
Is there anything that you've kept from the runs that you've done on books?
I mean,
Like
all the
as soon as you
books.
as soon as you as soon as you've done healthy runs on like Howard the Duck and Spider-Man,
Yeah.
is there anything that you keep like an emotional retainer of those, or are you pretty much, is it easier for you to move on once you're done working on something?
I mean, it's the physical books are the only real evidence of the thing, and so like it goes on the shelf. And like I've got a shelf, like on my bookshelf, one shelf is my work, which is a weird feeling just seeing it there as like a giant brick. And
You've got to be
I've
needing a second shelf soon.
well, like what I start to do is like okay, if the hardcover comes out, then I take the trades off. I put them away. Every time there's a different kind of step up in the collection, then I winnow it down a little bit. So it's like kind of almost hardcovers at this point. Um, and like stuff I would keep were like I would do like one short story in like a War of the Realms trade paperback. Like that's no longer on my shelf. Like I'm like, well, I don't need that on the shelf. That can go to a neighborhood
Yeah,
kid.
but when this comes out on trade, you are going to keep that trade on your
Yeah.
shelf, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, until I run out of space. Like legitimately, like I'll always have like one copy of everything. I mean, I shouldn't say always because things change, but like in my storage closet, I've got long boxes and I've got uh, every version of a thing that I've done in there. But even that, I'm like, well, at some point, I can't keep that up. I can't imagine Mark Wade's home. Like he's a guy who probably doesn't throw out his stuff, so
Right.
like he must just have, after all these years, just like rooms and rooms full. Even if he just kept one of everything, it's too much.
Or like Neil Gaiman's home or Alan Moore's home, or
Oh yeah, I'm sure Alan Moore is just like,
there's
this
a collector.
yeah, this Promethea single issue. I have to have every cover. Like
That's
it's an
Spider-Man
amazing
I
book.
wrote.
Yeah, exactly. Treasured place in my wizard heart.
We're still not going to open the Star Wars thing because I bought one more thing that I thought
Okay,
would be
all right.
appropriate.
What the hell? Is that a Cowboy Garfield?
It's a Cowboy Garfield.
Well,
So
hot
this
damn.
is, I believe these are from Japan. This is a blind box set of is that
Pop
Doc
Top Astronaut?
Wooden Sword Pirate, The Inventor,
Okay.
Housework Racing Driver,
What?
Skateboard Superman.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Was it Pager Boat Sailor?
Paper boat
Paper Boat.
sailor.
Magic Painter.
Magic painter, sure. The roll tissue charmer. Wow.
That seems problematic.
Day-
Daydream King.
Daydream King.
Oh, there's a secret one that
Oh
looks like
wow.
Jabba the Hutt.
Looks like a mermaid.
Gold Hunter,
Odie, all right.
and Bubblegum
Bubblegum
Fight.
Fighter.
So I have no idea what's going to be in here.
Where did you get it?
This was an Amazon purchase imported from Japan. It's got holograms, so you know it's
legit.
special. It's got a very stern warning on here about cancer and reproductive harm.
Like if you eat it?
I'm slightly concerned. Oh, there's 2 warnings on it. This is adult collectible item. This is not a toy.
It's not a toy. If I saw a kid playing with that, I'd smack it out of their hands.
So I have no idea there could be no Garfield in here. And for anyone who's heard interviews from you or seen photos, you know, you have a connection to Garfield.
Yeah, weirdly. It started when I worked at the newspaper, where it would be my go-to joke at a newspaper that I love Garfield. And eventually somebody sent me just a Garfield onesie.
As people do as a gift.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I often interacted with the readers of the paper. Like I post in my column, like, send me baked goods, and they all of a sudden I get a bunch of baked goods. Like, it was great. But yeah, someone sent me a Garfield onesie, and I ended up wearing it at the Sex Criminals launch party while I read erotic poetry. And a lot of photos were taken of me that night dressed as Garfield, and that kind of just became my thing. And, you know, looking at all the stuff you've got, people would often give me Garfield figures and Garfield like mugs and things like that, thinking I love Garfield, so that would be really fun for me. And it wasn't. It was never fun. It was never fun.
And where did all of that go? Was that regifted to other folks in the office?
Yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna be very disappointed if this is an Odie after I purchase this.
Yeah.
Specifically, or a normal.
If it's the mermaid or whatever, the secret one.
Nope.
Wow, that's the original. There you go.
We got the box. Although we're assuming that there are actually all these other figures produced, it may be they only produced this one, and the blind boxing allows people to feel they're just not getting the rest.
Yeah, it's a really nice touch on that Garfield, where like that the yellow of his cheeks is actually a mustache, like an old timey mustache.
I mean, the sculpting on it is quite nice.
It's funny. It's from Japan. Like, I remember years ago, I interviewed Jim Davis for the paper, and we talked a bit about like the foreign deals for Garfield, and he said Garfield never quite took off in Japan. And he said that the reason was that Garfield disrespected his master too much. And
he has his utensil.
Sidearms. Oh yeah, good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, disrespected his master and was lazy, and that didn't speak to the audience there. And he was always in mortal combat with Charles Schultz, and I think he was pretty upset that Snoopy took off more in Japan than Garfield ever did.
I mean, that's kind of difficult to really take umbrage with a 30-year head start, right?
True. But then you're the hot thing, and you think you know what the modern audience wants, and apparently they still want Snoopy. So it's like I think it probably bothered him.
I mean, do you think bothered Jim Davis just looking at the onset of Calvin and Hobbes, and then also seeing that Watterson just wouldn't merchandise? You think he's like, you don't understand? Do you think at the cartoonist meetings they were like heated discussions of what's wrong with you?
Yeah, that must have been a weird feeling, because it's like if Calvin and Hobbes did create toys and things like that and do ad deals, they would have destroyed Garfield. Would have destroyed it.
I mean, you had that brief sort of opus thing that took over for a little bit in the 80s and then sort of faded away. It didn't stick.
No, that's true. But yeah, like Jim Davis must have been like always in the back of his head, just like, he could have destroyed me, but he didn't.
Why?
Yeah, like, because you would never know if he would have won in combat. It's like the retired prize fighter.
Does he know I use a studio, that it's not me?
But it'd be weird because
throw that in my face.
Like, what if you were like the heavyweight champion of the world and you saw a guy who's like probably a better fighter, but he's just like, yeah, I don't want to fight. Like, it would just drive you nuts knowing he's out there. Like,
No,
okay, sure, I've got the belt and everything, but there's this guy walking the streets, doing like charity matches or whatever, never fighting for money, and it's like, oh, it would drive me crazy.
I mean, what would you do now? Looking at the books that you're writing, if Batman knew that there were a master criminal out there that he knew was capable of master criminal things, but who didn't commit any crimes.
That's different because that's not competition.
No, not in the competition, but sort
Yeah,
of
yeah. He'd
do
be
you think
happy.
he'd do a daily? But would he be happy, or would it be like part of his daily checks to see what did so and so do his crime? Did he do a crime yet? Because I know he's capable of doing a crime.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are capable of doing crime.
I know, but for Batman, he must have like a daily routine of going through his rogues gallery just to
Yeah.
get his. That's got to be an annoying part of the day. Does he do it over cereal? Like, what is the multitasking of?
They'll
Okay,
check
where's
in.
Riddler? Where's Joker? He's got a long rogues gallery now to see what their constant status is.
I mean, technically, if he's looking into where they are and they're not in prison, he should do something. It's not like he's like, all right, Riddler's just buying a coffee at the coffee shop. Don't have to pounce just yet. Like, I'm pretty sure Riddler's a mass murderer. He should probably arrest him.
But then how quickly do you act? Because if you have an entire rogues gallery to go through the checks on, and you get halfway through it and you see one's gone, do you finish the rest of the checks to make sure it's not more than one, or do you act on the immediate knowledge that Ivy's not in her cell?
You put out the fire that burns the brightest. It's just like deadlines.
What's the worst deadline you've had in recent years? What is the tightest it's been for you?
Oh no, it's never tight for me. Not really. And
Is
I
it
mean,
different
about
now that it's strictly writing?
yeah, because like within the Marvel DC system, like I never want to let down an artist. So the only time it's tight is like whenever there's an artist I work with who doesn't deliver pages but just delivers a whole issue at once. Like some artists will just disappear and like we'll all be like, where are you? Where are you? When's it coming in? And like you don't hear from them, and then all of a sudden like 20 finished pages show up, and you're just like, oh fuck, okay, now I gotta start writing next issue like immediately. So there've been a few moments like that where it's like you get them working on covers and you have like a 3-day sprint on a script just to make sure they have something to draw. But for the most part, especially now, like I've eliminated a lot of projects. I'm like, all right, all right, easy enough. I'm like 4 months ahead on Batman. It's fine. Um, the tightest I've ever been was this is amazing. I did a comic called The Invaders for Marvel a few years ago, but the lead up to that, we did like a mini series with each of the classic Defenders, and so I had Namor because I knew I was going to do this Invader series, so we're setting that up, and I wrote this issue, and the artist drew the issue. It was colored, it was lettered, it was done. It was 2 or 3 days before it was to go to print, and the editor emailed me and said, Chip, I'm very sorry. I never do this, and this is my fault. But rereading this issue, it's wrong. The issue's wrong. The
I mean,
character,
that's
the
vague.
well, I mean, then he got into detail. He's like, the character motivations don't work. Namor's too much of a dick. We need to change the story.
Stuff that normally would be addressed at the outline stage.
Yes, yes. Now, I don't even blame the editor. The editor is Tom Brevoort, and he's the best editor I've ever worked with. Like he's heads and shoulders above everyone working in the industry. I think most people can recognize that.
You're just trying
Um,
to get into his Substack. I get it.
it's true. It's true. We're all trying to get into a Substack, or not, because sometimes it's a negative thing to be in a Substack. But like he's a great editor, and like he's got a great story sense. And I think he was like kind of being supportive of me at first, even if he had reservations. And when he finally saw the total package with the art and all ready to go, he's like, no. His concern is we're going to sink the next series. Invaders not going to launch well if we don't get this right. And he was right. I wrote Namor is too much of a dick. It's possible. and the motivations weren't very clear. And so, yeah, with like a couple of days left, I had to like rewrite the whole script based on the art because we can't change the art. We can't change the space for the speech bubbles. Like it's all locked in. And
So at
so
that
I
point,
had,
it's a jigsaw puzzle.
yeah, it's like it's like kind of classic Stan Lee. Here's all the art. Now write the story. So there's a bit of that, and that's the only time I've really sweated it because I also had to get it right because there's no
Now, did
time.
that affect? Had you already been working on the issue after that? Did it affect the outline and direction you were already going based on that?
Um, it definitely like I'd written a couple scripts after that, and it definitely changed how I went back in on the dialogue. Like the motivations and the plot were fine on the rest, but I was able to still tweak it because it wasn't lettered or anything. I could just like go into the dialogue and change a few things. But yeah, on this particular issue, it was like, oof, that was a deadline. Yeah, that was a little intense. But I was
Um,
so used to it from the newspaper. Like when I worked at the newspaper, we'd have a lot of that because like you're changing things up until the literal last second. And sometimes you're changing things after it was started being printed. Like they would print the color plates at a newspaper and they would print the black plate last. And sometimes they would stop the presses on just the black plate, knowing you could change the text on it
right.
over top of the color.
So you
For
got a literal stop the presses.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those moments where like when you're in the newsroom, it's super exciting to hear it. Um, except it sounded more racist when they said it because they would say chase the black, and I
Yeah,
never liked
that's
that.
not.
I never liked that, but that's literally what they were doing. They were chasing the uh, the black plate for the page. Um,
What a weird thing to get rid of stop the presses for.
I know.
Something so easily misinterpreted
Yeah,
in
I think
horrible
I think I
ways.
think I think once in a while they'd just be like, "Stop the presses." I think someone just like to say it, and
I mean,
you'd be like,
who
"Oh, that's
couldn't?
really exciting to hear it," but then you realize, "Oh, they're stopping the presses because of me, and I've got to fix a thing."
I'm gonna
And
open
every
this.
10 minutes,
Speaking of,
yeah, sorry, yeah,
we got a classic character.
is that a
Check.
classic Porkins?
This is a well, it's not. I mean, this is the first Porkins ever produced. This is the first Porkins a figure there ever was. I think. Maybe it's the
Really?
second. This is the second. He was in the line before this, but this is a much better version of him.
Okay,
I'm
and
just
why'd
gonna
you
put
buy
him.
this?
It was a very long pandemic.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
had a lot of things to work through. Chip,
yeah. That's
I saw
fair.
you in the before times.
Yeah.
We saw each other at remember that San Diego in 2019. Remember when
Oh
everything
yeah.
was sort of so light and wonderful,
Oh yes, it really was.
and then this seemed like a great. I mean, I liked Porkins as a kid, as a a kid who was a bit on the heavier side growing up. You had very few
He's a hero.
actors and people to look up to. So it was Porkins and John Candy
Yeah.
were like my lights.
I like that the more heavier set hero that you could look up to, they also named him Porkins.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, he didn't get to choose his name, and
No, no.
and yeah, thanks. Whatever Lucasfilm exec threw
Yeah,
that
like
out in 5 seconds.
why couldn't it just be like this guy's name is Thunder Punch?
Yeah, Jack Thunder Punch. That
Yeah,
works.
it really does. Okay, I've got a follow up question to we know the why pandemic.
Yeah,
Um, where do you get your money? Like even like that's the other part of all this that kind of gives me anxiety is spending money on these things.
yeah. Well, I don't go for the expensive
Oh,
figures
okay. Yeah, I
like
guess a
this.
Porkins is not.
This was produced at a time when they were producing a lot more of these than they do now.
All right. So
Because
how much does a Porkins run you?
I mean, you can get a Porkins for around $10.
Oh, geez. In this economy, that's pretty good.
So in a new figure like
Let's
this
see, the Electra.
Electra costs I think $25
Whew.
is the SRP on that.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Even though I made the character, I couldn't spend that money on that.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, but
So
you know,
you must be doing better than I am.
I did it because I enjoyed what you did with the character,
Oh,
and
thank
I
you.
I wanted to set this on the right foot of having
It
this
it it is
conversation.
it is a good looking figure. I will say that. I will
And
say
and
that.
it's gonna have beardy Matt beside it in a few months.
That'd be nice. I see you also did a little shout out to me in your setup.
I did. There's a couple.
Yeah, there's
What
a
do you what
couple
are you
there.
spotting? What are you spotting?
Well, I mean, there's a cute little Howards and Batmans and stuff like that. But Spider-Man with a hot dog.
Yeah.
What's on that hot dog?
I mean, what should be on that hot dog?
Should just be plain.
Spider-Man's not gonna have it plain.
No, he likes
You'll
it.
you
He
you would
likes
just
it
have it
dry.
plain. When has he ever not put a bit of embellishment on anything that he does?
Yeah.
Like, if you want all of Jack Porkin's little facts and
Wow.
trivia, allies and enemies.
I mean
Oh,
the
how
the
how
other.
awful can it get in vital statistics? He's human, 1.79 meters. Was it Bestine? Is where he's from? Okay, well, that good. Okay, they kept it nice.
Are sorry, meters. So he's British Canadian. What's
Yeah, he doesn't go imperial. Maybe
so
they fight
yeah.
the empire. They're not going to go with imperial measurements. So
Okay,
he's
here's something else. Like someone had to design that. Someone had to sit down and go, my week's job is designing a leaflet celebrating Porkins,
yeah.
and that's my job. I'm not there's no judgment on it. It's fascinating to me that this world operates this way.
And as a designer yourself, what do you think about the leaflet design?
You know what? It's not bad. You work with what you got. You maximize Porkins on those two panels, which is great because that's what people are here for.
Yeah, why was there never a set of sex criminals trading cards? It seems like you could have gone to town on like
I know.
a top set of trading cards.
Merchandise was another thing that Matt and I didn't really see eye to eye on. Like, I really didn't want anything. And once in a while, I'd be convinced of like a shirt or a. We did hand sanitizer before the pandemic, which is really thinking.
What timing?
I know,
I mean, it's a solid check.
but we
Well,
made we made the hand sanitizer look like the bottle of lube that was found in the comic, and we had to print on it not lube.
so did you sell that, or you just gave it as giveaways, just sort of a fun promotional thing?
I think we just gave them away. Maybe
Do
we
you still
sold them
have a
for like a
box
buck
in
or
the
two.
garage?
Nope.
So not even during the pandemic when you could have
I know.
actually used it.
I know. We had stick-on nails that look like the quiet.
See, I know Matt likes merchandise because I
Yeah,
have
he does.
photos of Matt and I at Disneyland with him wearing an X-wing helmet. So that he
Yeah.
had just bought. So I know that Matt
Yeah,
loves
no,
having some merch.
his house is full of like fun things. My house is full of nothing, just adult dreams squashed. I don't know. I don't know what my
You're
house is.
mature and functional. Is
Mature,
that it?
functional, no fun.
You do all the fun when you create.
You know,
Is that what you
it's got to
uh
be it. The thing with comic art, like I do love comic art. Like when I go to conventions, I'm drawn to the original art tables, and I love flipping through and seeing them. I love the reproductions of them, like those IDW artist books. Like those are
yeah, the
great.
one-to-one repros, their
Yeah,
artist
yeah, really,
editions, yeah.
really beautiful. But I don't like them as pieces of art on the wall. Like, because for the most part, they're not designed for that. Like, they're designed to, probably usually have color and in
And
modern
you see
cases
whatever
like lettering.
markup is on it or what's in the gutters of
Yeah, but it's just like
rotations and
they don't hang together as a piece of art on the wall. Like it's an interesting. artifact, and when you get in close, you can see, oh wow, they really spent time on this and stuff. But like usually as a page, as a design of a piece of art, I'd rather have classic illustration. Like my co-creator Kagan McLeod, who does Kaptara with me, his studio is magnificent, gorgeous. He collects so many strange things from around the world and beautiful like illustration throughout the ages. A lot of 1960s, 70s, beautiful pieces, and those all hold together as like a piece of art because they were meant to be seen as a single image. Whereas comics are just like they're meant to be seen as a part of a whole. So it
Right,
just
unless
never
it's a
really
cover or a splash page.
exactly. And even then, like if you're missing the other elements like color, like they weren't actually intended to hold together without that. But um, yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. I should find some more joy in my life.
Well, you taught yourself to drive.
That's true. That is true. That was my
You did
pandemic
that.
project. Yeah.
Then you would that have happened if it wasn't for the pandemic?
Um, probably not because my wife and I moved out here because of the pandemic, because closer to her parents. And once we were out here, I was just like, oh, you need to drive out here. And my wife could barely drive, and she can't drive on highways or anything. So I was like, oh, I guess I better learn to drive. And it's the greatest thing I've ever done, and it's my biggest accomplishment over the past 10 years. And I love it. I love it. I love getting in the
I mean,
car and
you went
going
in the deep
places.
end. You taught yourself, then you decided I'm going to take a cross country trip and
Yeah.
go on this tour.
Yeah, within a year getting my license, I'm just like, I got to hit the road, and I just, yeah,
And
yeah,
alone. So you didn't have a
yeah.
backup,
No, well, that's the beauty. The beauty is doing it alone, because like up until the point where I got my license, I had never been in a car by myself
which just
where you could just,
boggles my
which you could,
personal experience to not have that.
I know, where you could just put the windows down, not consult anyone on that, play your music as loud as you want, sing it as loud as you want, and just like pull over whenever you want. Like those are weird bits of freedom that I never really had before. And so yeah, driving
So
across
it's
the
given you a
country,
taste for it. Have you taken any side trips since then?
I love it. Well, I mean, like I live on a tiny island and we do a fair amount of driving, like just to get into town for groceries and things like that. And yeah,
But now you
like
could say I'm going out for a drive.
yeah, and sometimes I'll just drive around the island just to like clear my head. And it's awesome. Yeah, I wanna do another like road trip through the States and kind of do a similar thing, signing at comic shops. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So how extensive, if all works out, would you try and make that trip?
Yeah, that's the question because it's tricky. Like it's hard to work on the road. Like I tried to space it out where like I'd have like one day where hole up in a hotel room and work, and then another day driving, signing, hotel.
And
Like
Canada has the benefit of most of the inhabited areas sort of existing along that southern route.
yeah, yeah.
You don't,
The
as far as the
longest.
population centers, you just have to go off that main road up and down, but you're still traversing most of the country by taking that main highway
Yeah, yeah, and
across.
and the only awkward part is just like Northern Ontario, kind of going over the Great Lakes. There's not a lot there. Like there's a big difference between my signings in like Winnipeg, where it'd just be like 400 people would come out for it, versus like Thunder Bay, where I get like 12. Like,
But they
and
were happy
you
to
know,
see you and you brought supplies.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of surprised, excited people when you roll into Sudbury.
So, but the states you're having to do, I mean, that's when choosing a route is going to be sort of almost infinite possibilities of
Yeah, yeah. I'd have to like be pretty targeted about it and break a lot of hearts.
that's like
Because
a
I
two
would,
month journey.
yeah,
You just
I
live on the
know,
road.
I know. Yeah, maybe not the best idea,
Or the best idea.
or the best idea. That excellent counterpoint, or the best idea.
That's when you write your great sort of road trip novel.
But nothing really happens. Like that's the thing. Like everyone asks me, "Oh, what you must have seen and done a lot of fun stuff." I'm like, "Not really." Like,
I chose to stop for a Big Mac
yeah,
because I
like I would
could.
drive. I didn't take pictures because I'm driving, and then I'm in a new hotel, and then I'm signing, which is fun.
So you got to
But like,
follow behind with a documentary crew that's going to
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because
on
like
the road.
meeting people was great, but you're kind of every step is kind of just repeated. Like, um, same
Just
kind
a
of
ye-
questions from people, and like, okay, all right, you shake the hand, you kiss the baby, you sign the books, and like it's all invigorating, and then you're on the road again.
I mean, just a year ago, you probably could have sold this to a streaming service.
Probably. I probably could
Before the
have.
bottom fell out, this would have been an easy sell. Sure, we'll give you $3 million. Go crew up.
Oh,
Go head out on the road.
oh my God, Chip Strip. It's right there. It was sitting right there.
So HBO Max.
Yeah,
He's also writing Batman now, so it's
exactly. It ties
synergy.
in. Damn it. I think Joe
So
Quesada had a similar thing where he was just like, yeah, I'm going to just talk to people and make it into a show. It was great.
well, for our final figure as we're having our conversation, I want. Sometimes you have to wonder what they're thinking with the packaging on this.
Okay.
So I wanted to get your thoughts
All
when
right.
you see this. And this is an original Star Wars trilogy character, iconic.
All right.
This was released in 2001. No, 2000. This was released in 2000.
All right.
And
Y2K.
this is how they put him in the packaging. Okay?
All right. I'm ready. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So what is it called? Does it
This
say on
is
there?
the Chewbacca Dejeric champion. So this is when he's having
When
the
he
little and he's
wins his
supposed to
3D
be
chess.
sitting down and reflecting on his victory while seated
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
bench.
Oh yeah, I clearly remember the scene, but to have him stand and do that. He's just like he's on the dance floor. He's like at step 2 of like the Macarena. That's impressive. Wow. All right. Okay, out of everything you've purchased, this I get.
So this would be hanging on the wall as a work of art in a shadow box, just tastefully
That is
lit.
a work of art.
I mean, it does feel bad to open this because in situ, this is.
But you need to,
But my point is I didn't get these things for them to sit in packaging. Otherwise, then I could have just left them on a shelf.
It's true.
What's the fun if you're just going to leave them there? And I understand those, some people like to preserve it as the work of art or the presentation piece of that. And this makes a strong case for that.
Very strong case.
But while we're doing this, I'm going to throw some compliments at you.
Oh no, please no.
Because no, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to take it because the problem is that you do too much good work that is incredibly enjoyable not to have compliments thrown at you. So this is your own fault, and I hope you accept that.
All right, okay, I'll accept that.
And because I was thinking about it, and certainly since the time we last talked in depth, which I think was the end of Sex Criminals, we had that sort of post-mortem on Sex Criminals, you, Matt, and I. You've put out a lot more since then. And iconic runs. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Iconic runs on books.
Whoa.
But I was trying to think because I have a lot of writers I really love and respect. Folks like Matt and Kelly Sue and Kelly Thompson and I'll go ahead and say Ryan North, but I'll half-heartedly say it.
He's the best. Ryan's the best.
But I was wondering what makes it unique, because you do have a unique voice, I believe, and I'm trying to figure out what, for me as a reader who is very jaded and has lost a lot of joy in my life when it comes to taking in, just because sheer volume of the things that I've read over the years. I'm just so over it. What's a new take on a character? Whatever. There'll be another one in 5 seconds. And what I love is that even with huge events, your stories are never about the events. Consistently never about the events. They are entirely about the characters within those events.
Thanks for that.
And I love the humanity that you bring to them. Because you could also take a character that, and I'd say, Daredevil in a lot of ways has become, you can point to Daredevil and go, here are the things I think about Daredevil as a character based on all the stories. A lot of them make him quite dour.
Hmm.
And the stories to be quite serious, and it's like, oh, do I want to read a Daredevil story, or do I want to have ice cream and enjoy the fact that I'm alive and
Yeah, yeah,
enjoy
I get
life?
that.
And same with Batman.
Yeah.
There is a cliche of Batman that has solidified over the years of those type of stories, and what I love is that you don't bring that, you don't ignore that either.
Yeah.
That is very much a part of what you do, but you find new and interesting, and that's what the best writers do on any book. So you're not certainly alone in this, and I'm not excluding those other writers, but I can read something that you've done and go, this is uniquely Chip
Ah,
in
thanks.
reading it.
Yeah, it's always hard for me to imagine what my style is because I'm the one writing it.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I wouldn't look at Newburn and go, this is Howard the Duck.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But I can look at Newburn and go, this is Chip, and look at Howard the Duck and go, this is Chip.
yeah, that's weird to me. Yeah, just because of the variety of things I've done. Like, I always think like my comparison is always like Jughead to Daredevil's like whiplash inducing. Like, I don't know who would read both of those, but oh, there you go. Now the figure makes much more sense.
Oh, he comes a little seat.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still not great, but
yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good, and you can't move those arms, can you?
no, they are
No,
they
they
are
are locked
they
in.
are. I mean, you can
Oh, okay, they go back. All right, that's fun.
sort of
That's
like, oh,
fun.
my sciatica.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's got like a good yoga thing going. I like it.
Well, uh, here's your Christmas gift. Keep an eye out in the post.
Oh God.
Oh, and he can swivel at the
Yeah,
waist, so you can
I
get
own
a.
one action figure. It's reclining Chewbacca.
Well, it's only reclining if you take him out of the package.
That's true. Mac-
Otherwise, it is,
Macarena Chewbacca.
yeah, or Magic Mike Chewbacca.
Yeah, it's stage 2. That's all it is. It's stage 2 Macarena.
So look forward to that.
Oh yeah,
And you
I
and you
really
think I'm kidding. So find out who you're
look at
regifting it to.
that.
Probably Matt. Matt will enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
But none of these are in that pose. Which odd is they sell the pose, but he's not in the reclining pose in any of the photography
They've just
in the booklet.
reused the Chewbacca leaflet from the other Chewbacca figures. Cheap
Yeah,
bastards.
it does not, and there's no photo on the back.
No, no.
But
But
yeah,
real fans know. Real fans know.
him and Porkins having a great day.
Yeah.
And
See,
this is
now I get it.
now. Do
I
you
get it all.
understand? Do you understand it now? Now does
Now
it
I
all make
understand it.
sense?
Yeah.
I knew
It
that
took.
was going to be the big finish
Yeah.
for you.
There you go. There you go. It
So
makes so much sense. A little fucking cowboy Garfield there with them.
I'm kind of sad we didn't get the mermaid or the skateboard Superman for that
I don't know.
matter.
He's pretty good. That's a good sculpt. That's what
Uh,
they say, right? It's a
yeah,
good
yeah,
sculpt.
yeah,
Yeah.
and good
All right.
paint work, paint ops.
Good paint. Good paint.
Uh, so what do you have coming up besides? Is there anything that we know that you got a Howard the Duck special
Oh yeah.
anniversary that's coming
Yeah.
up
There's
that
a
you have a
50th
story in?
anniversary special. Got the team back
Batman is
together.
ongoing. You got what, a Gotham War coming up?
Yeah, there's some sort of skirmish. Some
It's a
Gotham
thing.
skirmish.
Is
I
there ever a
wanted them to
Gotham
call it
skirmish?
Gotham skirmish, but they were like, we gotta call it Gotham War. It's not really a war,
What about
but
Tussle? Has there ever been a
tussle.
Gotham Tussle?
It's kind of what this is. They keep selling it as a war, but I'm like, it's just like a Gotham disagreement. But all right.
So
Yeah, I
and
don't know. I got that. I got that. Kaptara's coming back from Image. Newburn's still going from Image. The
what's the
Marvel
state of Stillwater?
miniseries coming up. Stillwater's done. Um, yeah, I think that's all I
Anything
can really say.
unannounced?
There's a few things unannounced. Nothing major. Nothing with Marvel or DC. Yeah, I'm just kind of taking it easy, so I
Well,
can like
your
save
version
my
of
money
taking
and
it
then
easy
blow it all on like toys.
is that'll be your retirement when you
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you for
Porkins,
doing this.
as far as the eye can see.
Well, I'm glad we've got a starter for you. It's on its way.
Yeah.
I'll throw in a Spider-Man with hot dog.
Oh God. Oh no. Oh,
Exactly
no.
what you were hoping for out of this.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, everyone should go follow you on. I guess Blue Sky is now the main place.
I guess so. Just the newsletter Substack, Zdarsky.substack.
You have one of the best Substacks for just 50 outreaches a week of just nonstop laughter.
Just some chuckles here and there. I enjoy it.
Yeah, you
Better
know what?
than being on
I
Twitter.
wish more Substacks took that approach. So
Yeah.
thank you everyone for watching this and for enjoying this time with Chip, which is what I've changed the name to now. And goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Support the channel or whatever. I don't care. Bye.
Sure.
Love you all.
See ya.